This is Andy Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by trainer Dave Coldwell over Zoom. Dave, good to see you. How's life treating you?
Very good, thanks. Life's going pretty slow at the moment. I'm on my own, so yeah, the days are taking some shifting, but yeah, all good. Good work. Another week finished in the gym. Weeks are flying by. Had a good week in there with the lads. So yeah, just all set for a weekend on my own now.
I was gonna say, is it a bachelor pad for the weekend, Dave?
Yeah, actually, it is all males here. There's me, the Caesar, my dog, and then there's Derek and Benjamin Rabbits that are both boys as well. So it's just yeah, full on bachelor pad.
Dave, just before we come on to some of the upcoming fights, obviously you've got tomorrow night ahead as well. How is everybody in the looking? How is everybody looking in the gym?
Good, really good. Yeah, just waiting for confirmation on dates now. We've got rumors of dates and initial conversations. Just got to get them confirmed now. Dan Towers looking really good. He'll probably start sparring next week. Stephen Cairns, he's just developing really well. Yeah, I'm excited for Steve, what comes, the next 12 months for him as well. And yeah, Ellison hope he's now able to start. He's had the go ahead from Mike Hayton with his hand. He's now able to start sparring and start punching properly with his left hand. Last couple of weeks has been on the pads, and pads is different, obviously. But he's had no reaction when he's been able to crack really well with his left hand on that. So now we'll just take it steady in sparring and light tech sparring for him to build that confidence back into that hand.
Obviously, Dave, there had been a lot of talk about Hopi and Nathaniel Collins sharing a ring in these coming months. Um, is that still the plan to try and make that fight?
Well, I hope he's got to get back himself. But did you see the news about Nathaniel Collins? He had a major operation, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I mean, hopefully everything works out right with him. But that's that like something really serious. So I don't know. He's just got to get himself right and get himself well. That's the most important factor in that. And whoever it's never about chasing an opponent. It's chasing the title. So whoever we get, I hope it was mandatory. Whoever we get to fight for that, whether it's Nathaniel's fit enough to take that on board, then great. If not, then maybe he gets a shot of a winner or what. I don't know, but he I know it was a major operation that Nathaniel had. It was a major operation that Opie had on his hand, but I think the one that Collins had was I think something about his abs or something had twisted or something like that. So that's a serious operation that is. So I don't know what the recovery time is on that one.
Dave, obviously you've got quite a young stable at this moment in time. How are you finding working with younger fighters who maybe, I don't want to say rawer to the sport, but don't have that experience of fighters you've worked with in the past and who maybe need a little bit more guidance?
I've always had young fighters. It's
You've
just
always
that
had that like kind of experience stable
at the same
alongside
time
it.
I've always had yeah at the same time I've always had a an experienced campaigner in the gym as well. But um yeah, it's just same. You just guide, whether they're experienced fighters or not. I mean, even with people like Bellew and McDonald's and people like that, even Derek, you're still guiding them. You still um uh, uh you still teaching. But boxing, it's a sport where even the elite fighters, the reason why they're elite, the reason why they're always still getting better, still striving, because they want to learn. They want to, they're still open to learning and still open to improving. So it's just the same. It's just that at this stage, they haven't experienced the bigger fights yet, the bigger nights yet. It's like I hope his last fight was his biggest night at that point in his career. Each fight that these kids have, Stephen, first time boxing on TNT on his Queensbury debut, that's a big, that's a new experience, a big step up for him. And it's just talking them and guiding them through those moments as fights develop and they step up the ladders. But in terms of gym work and everything, it's just, it's the same as the same. It is how it is. It's boxing. You don't have to overcomplicate boxing.
You mentioned earlier on in that obviously, the likes of Bellew and the Mr. Derek Chisora previously. Obviously, Derek's got his last fight at the O2 Arena coming up tomorrow night. Now, he has said he plans on having one there, one in Manchester, and one back in Zimbabwe. But then I've also seen a report earlier saying that tomorrow will be his last fight completely. Um, Again, with Derek, you never know what will be the case, but what do you expect to see against Joe Joyce?
Um, in terms of what do I expect to see, I think if you're a neutral, it's gonna be a fun fight. I think they're both fighters that get hit. They're both fighters that are looking to let go of bombs and land the bombs. Um, they're both at a stage of the career where you just don't know whether the shots they're taking now they can take it the same kind of shots that they used to take. So for a neutral, I think it's going to be a fun fight. It's going to be an exciting fight for him. I think what comes to mind for me a little bit is perhaps I remember the first time I watched Joyce box live. In fact, I think it's the only time I've seen him box live. Was when he boxed Stavern. And I couldn't believe it. Was like watching slow motion, but everything was landing. It was exciting, both bombing each other. I was like, I kind of think it's going to be like that. I think it's who's got what left, the resilience of the fighters. What have they got left? Yeah, I think for people that are involved and for the teams of each fighter, it's going to be a lot of and worry and stress and strain because you're going to see shots whizzing past each other and landing, and you're going to be worried about your fighter while you're imploring them to put it on the other man. So yeah, it's going to be a fun fight for neutrals, definitely.
I'm intrigued to know, Dave. Obviously, for a few years now, people have wanted to see Derek kind of hang them up and enjoy what he's earned from the sport. But from when kind of you would have worked with him and from watching him fight, and you've worked with Ebony as well, who was somewhat similar in the sense of she was happy to take a punch, to say the least. Is it difficult to work with fighters like that, or is it difficult to try and make them see you don't need to be as gun-ho and aggressive because of the type of damage which they do take?
Yeah, I mean, this is why he's a coach and a fighter's got a gel. I think about long term. Listen, I'm 49 now, and I'm actually a lot of times I am very, very aware and very conscious where I think to myself, I'm so grateful for the fact that I'm 49 and I'm sharp. I can have banter with my kids. I can, have a laugh with young fighters in the gym and get I'm speedy of conversation. I listen to some fighters who are younger than me and I worry for them and I think, oh, when you get, because it's always a few years after they've retired where you notice a few years when they're not in your circle all the time, and then you hear them speak and you hear that the slowing down of the speech or the slur, but it's not a nice thing, and so I am conscious about. I mean, my lads will tell you, listen, this is boxing. You are going to get hit, but I it's not that I expect you not to get hit. I don't want you to get hit because I care about you. So in a fight or a sparring session where you're controlling, comfortable, you're not getting hit, you're doing what you need to be doing to them. But then if you switch off and you get caught with a couple shots, you get a bollocking off me. You know what I mean? You get told like switch on, switch. But then you watch other fighters that box like this coming forward and they get in touch, getting hit all the time. But that's just I would rather. I'm not saying I want you to run. I need to be entertaining myself as well. There's a fine line between the artistry of being a boxer and being a fighter. I like box fighters. Even if you're a fighter, I want you to move your head. I want you to slip on your way in and crash bang wallop because the fighters you can do that. But if you haven't got that mentality and they're willing to take the shots and they don't mind taking the shot, then it can be a bit frustrating because you're playing Russian roulette and that toughness can only last for so long. And when you're stepping up to the top levels, the guys can really punch. You know, we think that people can punch at domestic level. So how many times have we seen somebody that's tearing through everybody domestically, like a massive puncher, step up to world level, and it's like, oh, well, all of a sudden they're going points all the time, and they're not knocking these guys out. It's like, oh, it's a big difference. But then when you see these real punchers, it's a different level. And if you get to the top level, then you're going to face guys that or women that can really punch. And you know, you don't want to be taking shots because you might be winning a fight and then you get cleaned out. But it's boxing, you are going to get hit. It's just that it is frustrating when there's no intention of moving your head. There's no, you know, like I said, you're going to get hit. The best defensive fighters in the world get hit, but it's I find it hard when somebody just doesn't want to move their head, don't care, as long as they land what they're getting. Then it's great to watch as a neutral. Wow, but yeah, to work with, for me, that's a bit frustrating.
I was going to say, how did you find it then? Obviously, working with somebody like Derek.
Do you know what? To be fair, Derek, I don't mind if you train. I don't mind if you're trying to, like I said, you're going to get. And Derek was pretty good slipping and making you miss a lot of shots. And come, he was pretty good at that. But obviously, as you get older, your reactions slow down, and perhaps your legs aren't as, not just Derek fighters, your legs aren't as sturdy. Whereas the shots you'd be able to block and ride, the shots now just start making you lose the balance on your legs, and you look more vulnerable, and it leaves you to be more vulnerable for the follow-up shots. But Derek always worked hard, always tried his best. It wasn't. I want him to retire after the Parker fight, and you know he's fuck that, and straight away was saying to Frank Smith at the time, was like, when you get me out next, this is in the change rooms afterwards. The crowd was singing his name coming out of the ring, and he'd given it absolutely everything. And I just said, this is perfect time to retire, perfect time to walk away. You know, and Derek wanted me, he wanted me to train down London, and I wouldn't do that because I've got my commitments up here. So that was a reason why I stopped working with Derek. You know, but I've said it to a few fighters in the past where I've asked them to retire. You know, it's not a case that I don't think you can't win any more fights. I just think, oh, it's a stage now where for what you're going to win and where you're going to get to, is it worth the possible damage that you're going to suffer and the hardships that you're going to face down the line? You know, I told Curtis Woodhouse to retire. You know, I told David Price to retire. I told Gav McDonald to retire. I told Derek to retire. I told Jordan to retire. You know, so all these fighters carried on and won fights after. I'm not saying you can't win a fight. I'm saying that I can't work with people that I don't have that connection or where I care about. I can't just do it as a business. Otherwise, I'd have loads of fighters. But I'm very selective about who I work with. And the amount of times I'm not interested in training fight, but then I get to meet them and I'm like, all right, yeah, all right, let's do it then because I want to help them. So that means that when they're getting hit, I don't like to see them get hit. I don't like to think about the damage that they're gonna when they're older. So yeah, that's just how I am. It's just how I always will be.
With Derek tomorrow night, then, Dave, how do you rate his chances in causing that upset? But as I say, upset, it seems to be that a lot of people see it as a much closer fight now than what it would have been 2-3 fights
ago. I don't know. I don't know. I've since this fight was made, I've always said it's a really exciting fight when you just see the matchup together as it is. But I just think it's won and lost on who's got what left. And I don't know the answers to that question. Derek's got the power that an upright just stood there. If he lands clean with his overhand right, Can he fold Joe Joyce? Quite possibly, because has Joyce's resilience gone? Maybe so. Was it just bombs that hurt Joe in the fights with Zhang, or was he hurt prior to that with shots that weren't like big detonations, especially in the second fight? I think I'm sure he was hurt with a shot that wasn't the big, the big bang, so to speak. But Zhang can punch hard, but we've always known Joe as being super tough. But again, that toughness wears out, and Derek could knock him out. Has Derek shown anything in his last few fights to say that it's likely? I don't know. Because up until the Zhang fights, Joe Joyce looked like a steam train. Like I said, I just think it's down to who's got what left.
Dave, with the card itself tomorrow, there's some very interesting matchups. You've got McCann Beluta 2, Ryan Gardner and Archie Sharp. Moses at home and Maris Vac now. I expect Moses to win, but it's a case of does he go rounds or does he get that stoppage, which many people haven't been able to do with Maris Vac. What do you expect to see from the rest of those fights tomorrow night?
So, I'm really excited for the undercard. I think the undercard's fantastic. Ryan Gardner against Archie Sharp's a cracking fight. A really, really good fight. McCann Beluta, the rematch, that's really interesting. Has McCann learned from the first fight? He's got to be really disciplined in that fight. I think he's got to be really disciplined. It's a good fight. It's a really, really good fight. Again, the young fighters coming through from, these are great, great learning fights for him. As long as he comes through them. But yeah, Moses Toma against I think, what is it? Is it his 10th fight?
Don't even think it's his 10th fight. Is it his 10th fight?
There you go. So he's at the max. His
10th fight. It is, yeah.
Right. So the 10 fights in for a kid that's his age, I think it's a really good fight for him, because is it a fight that you expect him to win? Yes. But how good can he look in that fight? And it's not just about going out there, crash, bang, wallop, and knocking out, but it's the fashion that he does it in, the style, the technique. Does he hold his technique, or does he go a bit too gung-ho? Because once you start landing those shots, which he will do with Marius Vac, then does he get too overexcited, thinking I can look spectacular, and then start looking for the big TV shot? Or does he keep his discipline and just allow his ability to flow through? Because I think he's a really, really good talent. I think he's special. Obviously, I've never seen him hit back yet, so I don't know. But he strikes me as somebody that doesn't look like he's been done in a gym, because he fights with so much confidence in his defense reflexes and chin. It looks got all the belief as every young fighter should do. But it's just that I think he's a special talent. He's definitely one. I can't think in the heavyweight division worldwide of a heavyweight that I'm as excited about. When you put in the factors, age, how he's looking, his mentality and his attitude, I think he's so down to earth, and I think his attitude for learn, and he's teamed up with Ben Davison now. So that attitude is only going to mesh really, really well in that setup. So he's going to learn loads, and he's just going to become a really well-rounded fighter on top of what he is or was prior to going there. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I think he's going to look sensational. It's not about just get rid of him in a round or two. Whether it's 8 rounds or whether it goes 10 rounds or what, I think he's going to look really, really good. Obviously, from a coach's point of view, thinking long term, as a fan of his, I would like him to go rounds, so he gets rounds under his belt. But it's not just a case of being able to do whatever he wants to do. I'd like Vac to go for it and give him some problems, at least throw some hands and make him have to move his head. And so it's not just wave after wave after wave of attack. Because when it's on your pace, it could go 10 rounds. You can say, oh, yeah, I banked 10 rounds. But it's on your pace. It's not really a true definition of what doing a proper 10-round fight is. So even if it was like 6 rounds of him having to be a little bit smart and having his work rate and having shots coming back his own way every so often, that'd be a good workout for him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the show.
Let's say Moses was able to stop Marius tomorrow night. How do you then manage not just the expectation about him, but then look towards these next fights? Because again, it would be a bit more of a. It's not a statement where the entire world's going to stand up, but it's a statement in sense of everybody knows how tough and durable Marius Back is. He's been around with many a top British talents. So how do you then manage what's next for him?
Well, I would like him to fight the other domestic heavyweights
You sold out,
because
yeah, Adelaide.
yes, Dakers, Adelaide. Who else is there? Can you get a fight with Fraser Clark? The other guys that are coming through as the next gen, and then because if they all fight each other, if they're coming through now and fight each other, then they're gonna be stars in this country because everyone likes a good domestic heavyweight scrap. And if they keep having these domestic, look at Wardley and Fraser Clark, right? Those two fought each other, hell of a fight, brilliant fight. The profile's both lifted, then you can build on that and then it goes further. If you don't build on it, then people forget about it. But the profiles have lifted. It was a great fight. They both learned from it. And they're now names domestically that boxing fans will put high up in terms of their order of rankings in domestic heavyweight boxing. If Moses gets himself into that mix by beating Akers or beating, the other guys, then he could put himself in line, fight for a British title. I think that's the kind of the route that I would like. Obviously, then there's you're mixing between the faded, like Marius Vakis is a faded name. So bring in the names every so often for the faded, try and find a faded American name and stuff. That's what you do. For again the win on the record of a recognized name out in America or wherever like that, then it sparks people's interest. And again, it's part of that profile builder.
Dave, picking that back up there, obviously we was about to time out. Moving forwards away from Joyce-Chisora next weekend, Terence Crawford, Israel Madrimov. A lot of people, obviously, within boxing, we know how talented Israel Madrimov. Obviously, Crawford has that wider reach to more of a casual audience, but it's a very intriguing fight, a very difficult fight for Terence's first fight up at 154 as well. How do you see everything unfolding in LA?
Brilliant fight. I was ringside when Madrimov won title, won his last fight. That was for the title, wasn't it? That was his shot at the title. It was very good. I mean, I've seen him on TV, but when you see him up close, I always soak up a little bit more when you see fighters up close. He's very, very good. Powerhouse, yes. Clever, yes. Boxing ability, yes. Crawford's going in right at the top level at 154. It's not like he's gone up another weight division and thought, you know what? I'll dab my toes at it. I've been out for a while. I'll just see how it is in these cool waters. He's gone straight in at the deep end. It's a tough fight. It's not like a one side. And let's not forget, Crawford does get hit. It does get hit. It's not like he's super elusive. It does get hit. And sooner or later, you always think, in the back of your mind, you think, start off at lightweight, gone up. Sooner or later, you're going to go up a division that's just that little bit too much. Is it this? I don't know. But if Crawford wins this, then again, listen, I already rate him as one of my favorite fighters. My favorite fighters ever. He's one of my favorite fighters ever. Love watching him fight. I look at what his achievements are. Amazing. If he was to go up there and beat Madrimov and become world champion again, another way, that's some achievement. That is some achievement. Because I can't think of a better 154 fighter than Madrimov.
No, not
at the moment.
At the moment, Madrimov's definitely number one.
Yeah. So that is a statement. That's a real statement. And then what does he do next? What does he do after that? I don't know. Crawford's special. We were talking about it in the gym today. He's he's so clever, so skillful, punches hard. Do you know what? Bad fucker he is. You know, he's got that dog in him, and I was watching something on him last night, and it showed you every time somebody stepped to him, every somebody's bad mouthed and disrespects him at weigh-ins, press conference, or whatever, and you just see how he reacts, and then what he does in the ring with him afterwards. He's got that where he enjoys beating people up. You know, he's a really nice guy out of the ring. I've been lucky enough to met him. I've met him, spoke to him a couple of times. You know, I did cuts when he beat Ricky Burns. I did cuts for Ricky Burns there. You saw Billy Nelson out back in the day, and kind of kept in touch with him for a few years after that. And what a nice guy he is. But then when he gets in the ring, he's got that dog in him, and I think that all elite level fighters, top fighters, they all have that. They enjoy beating people up. There's something about them. They have that extra dimension, and you know, I'm really looking forward to that fight.
You mentioned earlier on how moving up in weight, you don't know when that time might come, when it's just maybe one step too far. There's obviously been those reports of a potential Canelo fight next year. Would that be, well, two weights too many now? Would that be pushing it just too far in your opinion?
But again, I think so. I think he'll figure Madrimov out, and I think he wins. I'll lean towards Crawford to win. I think it'll be a hard fight. I don't think it'll be an easy fight. Should Madrimov win, I won't be shocked. It's not something. I'll be like, oh, do you know what I mean? It's like he's a good fighter, and you know, it is what it is. But say he beats him, and then there's a match with Canelo. Canelo, although he is like this wide, this thick, he's very short. He's not got the fastest feet. He doesn't have the highest punch volume, work rate these days. Certainly not like he used to be. He's loading up on single shots all the time. Crawford's got very long arms, sits back, can pick his shots really well, can figure out really well, doesn't panic or get flustered under pressure. I would actually give Crawford a real good shot at that fight, because Canelo, stature-wise, he's not. He's not got longer arms as Crawford. You know, Crawford seems to look very, much longer. I think he'll have the reach advantage. Like I said, he's got a skill set, the IQ. I think I would give Crawford a very strong shout in that fight.
Speaking of Canelo, though, Dave, obviously we saw the Edgar Berlanga fight announced last night. Now, there's one fight everybody would love to see at 168, and that is with David Benavidez. It doesn't seem like we're going to get it certainly in this near future. But what do you make of Canelo Berlanga?
It's better than Canelo Eubank, because that's what I was hearing up to a few days ago. So Berlanga was smashing everybody up and everything, and then he stepped up a level, and then the KOs kind of like ran out of juice. Good prospect, good, good prospect. But in terms of does he beat Canelo, I would see that as a huge shock. Huge shock. I'll be honest with you, I don't really I think there are British fighters that would beat Berlanga. So I don't give him much chance against Canelo.
I know
it's a great opportunity for him. It is a great opportunity for him, and the whole matchup and everything. It'll sell Canelo and everything like that. But yeah, I think it's unless Canelo takes his eye off the ball, he's got old really quick overnight. Canelo, I'll beat him.
I know we've just obviously spoken about Canelo Berlanga. We spoke about potentially Canelo-Crawford at some point next year. But the 168 division, and if he was to continue his future there, in terms of actual fighters who are considered 168 fighters, Benavidez and David Morrell Jr., arguably the two who...
David Morrell Jr., what? That guy is special.
Yeah.
and I've watched him for years, but his career's just absolutely going nowhere.
Well,
It's not,
he's moved up to 175 as well now, and he's fighting next weekend on the Crawford card.
but he should be a star. He should. Has he moved up to 175 because he can't get a fight at 168?
The one he wanted was Benavidez, but so he said he's chasing Benavidez up to
Oh,
170.
right, okay. Well, that'd be a good fight. That would be a really good fight. Morrell Jr. is very, very good. He's special. Um, how old is he now?
He's still only, I think, about 26 or something.
Exactly. See, he needs someone. I mean, I don't know who's
Yeah,
the
20.
promoter is, but he needs to be with a promoter that's going to promote him. I mean, I think what Eddie and Matchroom have done with Boots Ennis, I think sends out a little message to all the fighters out in America. You know, Deloy likes to dig at Eddie and say is this and say that, and so does Bob Arum. But I'll tell you what, Boots Ennis has been screaming out for somebody to promote him because he's got all the ability, talent, he's got the showmanship, everything. Eddie's done one show with him, took him to his hometown, and look what he's done with it. You know, and I think something like a Morrell Jr. I don't know who he's with, but he needs a job doing like that, you know, because he's a special talent.
I believe he is with PBC, but as we've all seen, Riyadh Season's bringing everybody together to work on these shows. But yeah, as you say, special talent. And moving forward, another fight back here in Manchester, Catterall-Prograis on August the 24th. How do you see it unfolding? A lot of question marks over Regis Prograis now on the back of a Devin Haney fight. Jack won a much closer fight with Josh Taylor last time out compared to their fight previously. What happens this time in between them?
You see, you just said August 24th, and then you know when you think, actually, that's not far away. Time's just flying. So it's madness. Because I was when you asked me that, I thought, he's asking me about that already. And it's not that far away now. It's like, what? That's a good fight. That's a really good fight. I'm a big fan of Prograis. I thought obviously he was completely outclassed against Devin. I think styles wise, it was just too flat footed, too slow for Haney. And it couldn't have gone much worse for him, that fight. So he'll be coming over with a huge point to prove. He's a very, very proud man. Good fighter. But in Catterall, I think Catterall's one of these fighters. His brain and his IQ is so underrated. He's very, very clever in there. Really, his judgment of his distance is fantastic. He's got good feet. He reads the fight really, really well. I would actually say that that at this stage in the career, I think Catterall's a slight favourite. It's a very, very good fight. Very, very good fight. And Catterall can't afford to switch off with Prograis. I just think that I think it'll be one of those where he's just one step in front. Just one step in front. Prograis just falling short, and getting peppered, getting pinged. The only thing is that Jack likes to work at his own pace.
You still need Dave.
Oh yeah, somebody's just ringing. That's all. Yeah, Jack likes to work at his own pace. And I think Prograis needs to set a tempo that Jack doesn't want to work at. Early doors can't wait 4 or 5 rounds to pass first. He needs to set off a pace right from the start and maintain it really.
I'm going to keep on going through some fights because we're only about 6.5 weeks away from AJ-Dubois as well. If he's about 7 weeks away now from AJ-Dubois. An intriguing fight. I'm interested to get your thoughts on their face-off, Dave, because obviously we saw it get a little bit heated between the pair of them. Obviously, both of them standing up, looking like they was about to come face to face. And I remember on the back of when AJ linked up with Robert Garcia, people were asking, is Robert going to bring the dog back out of AJ? But we've started to see kind of more of a version of that, if you will, with that kind of aggression and his recent performances. I mean, you look at what he did with Dubois, we haven't really seen that since the Dominic Brazil altercation they had those years back. A fired up AJ, how dangerous is that for Daniel Dubois?
Well, first of all, in terms of the confrontation and his reaction and things like that, I don't mind it at all. I like that. He's been himself. I think not just AJ, but all fighters. It's like we say about with footballers and when they're getting interviewed and they're all media trained and just being careful about what they're saying. This is fighting. This is boxing. You're going there to punch each other in the head. So if you want to talk a bit violent, then I don't see a problem with that. This where people say, "Oh, you need to be gentleman out of the ring and you shouldn't speak like that." But you're going in there to punch the shit out of each other. This is fighting. So at what point, as long as you're not doing it with people, other people, but it's your opponent. You don't. It's nice if you can be respectful and everybody gets on. But when everybody gets on and that, who's interested in that shit? Nobody's interested, you know. But when there's some beef or when there's something that aggravates you and you react to it, and everyone's like, "Oh," everybody's interested, And the problem with AJ is if AJ doesn't react and he just speaks all very diplomatic, people say he's being fake or people say he's boring. And then when he says, "I'm going to, smash your face in or I'm going to wrap this chair around your face" or whatever he said, then people have then got a problem over that, Maybe the words actually picking up a chair and smashing it, and he's a big dude himself. He don't need to do that. Maybe he just said, "I'm going to smash the fuck out of you right now." Fair enough, but I don't mind it. It's just being himself. It's being himself, and I think it's a case of like the young gun coming through and saying something that's made AJ think, "Well, hang on a minute. Just remember who you're talking to. Remember what I've done in this country, what I've done in the world in boxing, what I've done for this country's boxing." Because AJ carried boxing quite a while, and he opened the doors for a lot of fighters, and the big shows that he was on. We always need somebody that's a flagship and can bring other fighters through on the shows for the next generation to have cracks and stuff. And we've always done it. We've always had it all throughout. I've been in boxing 34 years, and I've always seen this where the next star comes through on the back of the previous star, and so on and so on. And AJ has carried the sport quite well, and a lot of fighters have done well, through the success of someone like him. So maybe he just felt like just behave yourself. But I like the fact that Daniel Dubois is going at him, because Dubois is showing, I don't care about your reputation. I don't care about what you've done. That's all gone. That's all the past. You're facing me now. This is about us right now. Not when you did this. I like that. So I like it both from both. Confidence from both. All that matters now is what happens when they fight. Is that confidence from both men? Is that determination to smash each other's face in? Is that going to play out in the fight? And if it does, we're in for a great fight, because I think weapons-wise, tools-wise, these two guys, how can it not be a great fight? Two giants, both can fight, both got very good jabs, different jabs, but both got very good jabs, both can punch, but both have been shown to being able to be hurt, vulnerable. Both, both you can ask questions about, how they respond to adversity, So it's an exciting fight.
What do you think happens?
I think AJ knocks him out. And I think I'm basing that on Daniel's lack of defense, not his own attributes. I think he's got the attributes to knock AJ out. So again, like Madrimov Crawford, if I fancy Crawford, fancy AJ to win, but if Dubois was to win and knock AJ out, would I be shocked? No. Would I think, "Oh, it's another Andy Ruiz"? No. Because he's got the tools. And I genuinely believe too many people that know boxing, that have been around, that have watched sparring, have told me about Dubois' jab. Just his jab. He can do damage with that jab. Yes, he can punch with his right hand. Do you know what else is his massive asset, and I think goes under the radar? He's a wicked body puncher. So I give him a great chance in this fight, because if I was him, I'd be going to AJ's body, because we've seen in the past when he goes to AJ's body, does he gas a little bit? Maybe so. But I just think when he went in against Hrgovic, he knew that Hrgovic had a great right hand. That's basically about it. You know, with Hrgovic, he's throwing that 1-2 down the pipe. And for all the preparations that they must have done for that, to take away that right hand, he got hit with more right hands than 1-2s I've ever seen. And he took them. But I don't think he takes them off for AJ consistently. Might take the first few, but also I don't think that AJ just throws it, just telegraphing it and just leaving it at that. I've said it all along. AJ will, once AJ smells that blood, he gets that time, he'll come back with left hooks, he'll throw right uppercuts, he'll vary that right hand. And that's why I think he knocks Dubois out. But then while I'm talking to you, I'm thinking if Dubois gets to his body, I can see it unraveling. So that's why I'm saying it's a great fight. It's a really, really good fight. And I'm really excited for that fight.
It's a great fight. It's a great card as well. There's a number of fantastic fights on that card to look forward to.
Really good.
Yeah, we'll leave it there, Dave. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your weekend in your bachelor pad. Thank you for speaking to me and Boxing News, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers, mate. See you later.